Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Peoria. I'm your host. Yeah. Plenty of room. Pack it in. Pack it in. That's mine. Sure. I don't know whose keys those are.
These are mine.
Do you want me to hold
okay.
those?
No, I
Or keep them up here or something?
Yeah. Actually, I'll put them over here.
Good morning. Is anybody else wearing sandals today? One, two. I'm wearing sandals. I don't often wear sandals. I barely wear them when I go swimming or to the beach. But how about this weather? Can we all just share in a thumbs down? Josh presented last week. He asked me, is it going to be good this weekend? So we just took a peek at it. And the answer is 94 and 94. So find yourself a swimming pool. If you closed your swimming pool last week, joke's on you. Is anybody here for the first time? Sweet. Your name is Nate.
Yes.
Yeah, we've met before, haven't we?
I think so.
All right, sweet. Nice to meet you again, Nate. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. I'm Randon. I'm your host. If you have a cup of coffee, I see. If not, everyone, there's free coffee over there, courtesy of the Art Guild. Thanks, Art Guild, for giving us coffee. 1 Million Cups is sponsored by Eco Solutions Window Service for all of your Eco Service Window Solutions needs. Quick reminder, September 16th, we will not be having 1 Million Cups. We will be taking a field trip to Peoria Next Innovation Center, which is on West Main Street, for a state of Illinois is hosting a resource fair there, including yours truly. And John's going to be there, and Doris probably, I think, right?
I'm on the program.
I'm actually going to miss it. She'll be there, though.
I'm on the program.
I jumped the gun on it, but Doris will be there. Of course you will. Speaking of Doris, she's the first one. Did you bring your mug? No, of course not. It's ceramic.
You know what? The reason I did bring my mug because I was looking for my shirt. Someone in my house stole my shirt.
Your 1 Million Cup shirt you're talking about. Doris last week became the first member of the 1 Million Cups Mug Club, which means she brought 3 guests. Is there anybody else that's like even close?
How about
Here?
another person from the dead? Charles is here.
Charles is here.
Brought him back.
Brought him back. All right, that kind of counts, but not really. Also, you already have a mug.
3 at one time?
No, 3 cumulatively.
Okay.
Yeah, so John, you're on 1 right now, right? All right. You're on 2?
Scott came 2 weeks ago.
All right. So 1 more and you're in the mug club.
On the mug?
Who else? You guys aren't bringing people. That's what that means.
Oh.
No one's getting close, so that means you're coming alone.
I know there was a cup involved.
No, not nary a cup, a mug. It's a mug, not a cup. You can get excited about a mug. A cup's just a
Doris, you
cup,
gotta
but
get
a
your
mug.
Get more people who can help you.
A mug is a mug. So be sure if you're new to sign up. Keystart application is due next Friday, end of the day. I have a little ticker on the website. It's kind of pretty cool looking, I think. But the way it's set up is it says that there's like a deadline sometime in the afternoon or evening, but I will accept them until midnight. So we have 3 right now, which is pretty great. And we'd like to get that number up into that 6 to 10 range. So if you know anybody who's working on a project or could use $5,000 to get one of their business ideas going, please direct them to startuppeoria.com where they can apply to our Keystart program. If anybody has any questions about that, please find me afterward, and I'd be happy to go over the details of that with you. Yesterday I gave a presentation to SCORE. SCORE, some of the folks from SCORE are here this morning in the front row. Raise your hand. Most people know Doris and John and Lourdes was there. And you weren't at the meeting yesterday, Nan. Oh. Well, so Startup Peoria and SCORE we're just talking a little bit. I'm going to be working on a mentor program, sort of a structured mentorship program. And so SCORE sort of reached out to me, and we're working on how we can, as resource nodes in the startup community, team up to provide help or advisements for people who are starting up. So that's pretty cool. Keep an eye out for that. One pretty cool announcement. I don't know if I didn't ask your permission, but I'm going to tell people this anyway. But I found out about this last week after 1 Million Cups. But if you recall, we played a video at one point and did a call for entries to. the 1 in a Million competition that the people from Kauffman Foundation, who do 1 million cups, are putting on. The prize for which is $10,000. For what I understand, it's like a no strings attached gift. So, and there's a second and third prize too. Nice. So 377 startup companies from coast to coast put their names in this hat for this competition, and they narrowed it down to 40 semifinalists. And of those 40, 2 of them are alumni from 1 Million Cups Peoria. So that's clap-worthy.
Oh. Yeah.
Chris Weir is one of them. He's here today. Do you remember Chris? Yeah. Chris's thing, I have no idea why, but I was awake the other night and I caught some of Jimmy Kimmel, which is a late night program for those of you who don't stay up that late. I typically don't. But he had a whole segment about Twitch TV. I mean, it was like 10 minutes long. He was making fun of it, of course, but it doesn't stop it from being a totally awesome thing. And Chris is sort of in that same video streaming, interacting space, and that's pretty cool too. So congratulations to him, and also Brandon, the guy who filmed us, who's doing the speech preparation web app. If you guys remember that, if you were here, we sat upstairs and he filmed us. So now for the people who are presenting at 1 Million Cups, you can go onto your laptop and you can press like a record button, and when you press this button, you guys, this very scene will appear. So you get to practice talking to a 1 Million Cups audience, not live, but they look like they're alive, right? So Josh, last week told me that he tried it out and had a visceral reaction to the people. So it's a way for, isn't it neat?
Yeah, it's a neat way to prepare for a presentation.
Yeah. So that's Brandon. If you guys remember him, he is also. So that's tremendous. A win for Startup Peoria and for Startup Bloomington or whatever it's. What I'm not sure what they're calling it over there, but they're doing it.
Startup area.
Yeah, just do it. You know, we're all in this thing together, right? Yeah. So that's tremendous news. So. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Cassie. She is the founder of Modern Thrive, and she's got a lot going on. So she'll try to cram all of that wonderful information into 6 minutes or so, which would be a challenge. But please welcome to the stage Cassie Bourne.
I told Brandon I'm used to talking for like 30 minutes to an hour, so 6 minutes was a really hard edit for me. So I'm the founder of Modern Thrive, which is an online platform that helps people build fulfilling careers. And before I jump into what we do, I want to talk a little bit about how I got started and how I got here. So my career kind of started in 2009 when I discovered this phenomenon called mom blogging. And I read an article in a magazine about how moms were sharing their stories online and building audiences around them and actually starting to earn money from those audiences. And I was completely fascinated. I was a junior in college and I had a 3-year-old son, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But like every millennial, I wanted lots of control over my time. I wanted lots of freedom. I wanted to work from home. And I saw that these moms were building a business that allowed them to do that and allowed them to really take ownership over their lives and their careers and what kind of work they were doing. So I started reaching out to the best mom bloggers I could find and asking them to hire me. I was like, I'll be your intern, I'll sell ads, I'll do whatever. I'm just really interested in what you're doing. And a couple of them did hire me, and I spent 2 years working as a glorified assistant, mostly for free, and helping these bloggers figure out how to make more money from their sites. And in that 2 years, I learned a lot. I learned how their websites worked, I learned how traffic worked, I learned how content worked, I learned how they were working with brands and what was and wasn't working in that space. And all of that knowledge then landed me a job working from home for a PR agency that was based in New York. So I was helping brands like Procter & Gamble and Pepperidge Farm and Gallo Wine figure out how do we work with these mom bloggers and integrate them into our marketing programs in a way that works, which was really exciting for me because, you know, I was helping all of these women who I had admired that they were building this business. I was then helping them figure out new ways to make money from that and to really engage with brands. And through that experience, I started traveling around to all of these blogging conferences. And I say I spent most of my early 20s 20s hanging out at like Blog Her and like Mom 2.0, which wasn't like, didn't make for cool stories, but they were really fun. And what happened at those conferences was really inspiring to me because basically they would take all of the bloggers who were doing really interesting things and they would host sessions and talk about how they did what they did. And then in those sessions, you would connect with all of these people who were trying to build the same business you were and who were interested in the same things and valued the same things. And I was really interested in figuring out how could we create that experience in an online platform so that people anywhere could connect with people who had similar interests, but then also learn at the same time. And so I started experimenting while I was working at Disney Interactive. I started partnering up with bloggers and organizing kind of like one-off courses or one-off programs and figuring out, could they sell? Would their audience buy them? How do we package them? You know, how do we create these programs without spending hours and hours and hours doing so? And through all of that, I started to get a clear sense that there was a definite need for a place for people to connect and learn about their careers together. So once you graduate from college, there is no one helping you figure out what to do with your life. You're kind of thrown out there on your own. And the support that is there is mostly from your employer. So they're teaching you how to be better at the job that you're doing, which, as we all know, careers are not in a place where you work at a company for your whole life. So you, as a professional, constantly have to be thinking, what is the next step I'm going to make? What's the next pivot? How am I going to get to the next level? And you don't necessarily have anyone there kind of helping you figure that out. So we launched with a conference last April called Maker Mentors. And the idea behind this conference was that we were going to bring creative types together, so makers, artists, handmade artisans, those kind of professionals, together to learn from each other on how can we build a bigger business and make more money. And we ended up having over 200 people attend. It was a 2-day, totally online live conference. So the sessions were hosted through live video streaming. There was a chat room so everyone could talk to each other. There was a forum area. And we really saw, it was so interesting because we had artists in there who had been in the business for 15 years and who were making lots of money, but were sitting at home like feeling lonely and they were bored and they wanted to mentor other younger artists, but they didn't know where to find them. And then we had all of these artists who were like drawing in their basement and hoping one day somebody would buy their work. And so bringing them together in one place just allowed for so much connection and the ability to kind of learn from the community that they were part of. And so we kind of built upon that and launched Modern Thrive, which is, so sorry, I'm going to take a pause. So Modern Thrive is, instead of hosting conferences, we do workshops. So we host 3-day workshops, and each workshop includes an hour-long live video session, and they're focused on different career paths that you might be interested in. So if you want to be a freelance writer, you can take a workshop on that and connect with other people who are building a freelance writing business. If you want to get your book published or start a blog or start an illustration business, we have people on there hosting those workshops. And this really, Modern Thrive was founded on this belief that everyone in the world should have the opportunity to build a career that's fulfilling to them. And I believe the best way to figure out how to do that is to find somebody whose work you admire and learn everything you possibly can from them. Because if you see somebody and you're like, wow, I would love that career, you don't always feel like, oh, I should ask them how they got there. But the workshops give a chance for you to actually hear the stories of how did this person build their business, build their career, and ask questions so you can figure out how that applies to what you're building and what you're doing. So I'm going to pause. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about Modern Thrive. I will mention Maker Mentors. We are hosting now. We're going to do our second conference this September, and then we have a number of other events planned for later this year, and that community is really focused on kind of the artsy, crafty crowd. But then we are also just announced a conference called The Brain Trust, which it's at thebraintrust.co, and that is focused on the startup entrepreneurship crowd. So we're bringing together people in the academic entrepreneurship world, investors and startup founders to discuss, how do you do a startup in a modern world? How do you do it successfully? How do you mentor entrepreneurs? And so I thought that would all be of interest to you. But but I have created these cards over here, and you can all pick one up so that you can get one free workshop on Modern Thrive. So you guys can go check it out, sign up for something that's interesting. We're launching new courses every month, so there's always new stuff coming out there, and then I hope to see you there. Yes.
The cost involved for the workshop?
So all of the workshops are $97, and you get the 3-hour-long live sessions, and then those are recorded, and you get lifetime access to the content. So it becomes like you take the course, and then you have all of those videos and all of the emails to go back and reference, like as you're moving forward. And then we also have a Facebook group component for the courses, which have actually become way more popular than I thought a Facebook group could be. So we hosted, one of our most recent courses was for freelance illustrators, and we ended up having almost 200 illustrators joining the workshop. And so in this Facebook group, we have all of these illustrators who are sharing links to their work and commenting on each other's work and referring jobs to each other. So the people that take these workshops, you learn something, but then you walk away with a network and a community and resources. And so that in turn helps you actually take that and make more money from what you learned versus just, taking a class, listening to it, and kind of moving on. Yes?
Have you, if you've taken a class from these number of individuals, what has been the positive outcome? Have they come back and done any research to see where they are now versus the traditional?
Yeah, so a lot of the people who take our workshops then actually come back and take another one. So we did we did a workshop on how to build a freelance illustration business. So it was for anyone who just loved to draw, and we showed them how to make money from that. And then we also have a course called Publishing Paths for Illustrators. So we said, if you want to get your work published in a book, this is a course will help you kind of explore that opportunity. So a lot of them will then come back and take other programs just depending on where that is. But then we also, I've always been a natural connector, so I'm always like, you should know this person and you guys should talk about this thing. And so I'm always doing that with the community. And because of that, we've had a number of people who attended the Maker Mentors conference who then got wholesale orders from, a huge online retailer because I saw their work in the conference and made that connection. So we're always trying to figure out with the people that are coming through there, not just give them their course and go, but what is it they need to get to that next step? Because, our success is really, if we can help people build those careers, then they're going to tell their friends and, and we're going to keep getting that kind of community building. Does that make sense? Yes?
So what's the scope of your participation level now, and where do you see it scaling to?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So basically what we're learning right now is that the model for selling our workshops is really based on our instructors. So our instructors all have existing audiences so that they're marketing the courses to. And so we will have anywhere from 25 to 200 people in a workshop. And I think that class size will always stay smaller so that people can really interact. But we're going to be launching more and more workshops. So our hope is to break into different verticals. Right now we have a lot of artists and a lot of illustrators. We're moving into the writing space. So if you want to be a freelance writer, if you want to write a book, if you want to write for magazines, and then we eventually want to go into kind of the photography space. So really people who are building kind of creative careers and kind of expand our portfolio that way. But we're also being very strategic about what courses we launch and when, just so that we know the courses we're launching are going to sell and that there's people there who are interested in those topics.
Could you clarify, are your workshops sort of live streamed with audience interaction, with some in the room and some participating
Yeah.
electronically, or I'm not quite picturing?
Yeah, so they're streamed through live video, but there's no one in the room. So the speakers are hosting it from their offices or their homes, and they're literally sitting in front of their computer and talking. Some of them have PowerPoints, but most of it's just, really kind of sharing. And this format makes it really feel like you're sitting there talking to the instructor in their living room and you can really ask questions and get that kind of informal storytelling feel. And then during the live sessions, there's a chat room there. And so First, we ask everyone to introduce themselves, so they'll all be introducing themselves and sharing links to their work and that kind of thing. And then we'll see them start diving into like commenting on the stuff the instructor's discussing, asking questions, making suggestions for other people who had questions, and really kind of interacting there. So we're able to, like, you're seeing the instructor in real time, and you can talk to the participants there. And then that is actually all recorded, and then you can watch the videos again later. So if you're watching a recorded version, then it's not live and interactive, but if you're logging in for the live course, then you're there in real time.
And what kind of software are you using to make that happen?
So right now we use Click Meeting, which is it's kind of a webinar hosting platform. Hosting live video is a huge challenge, and like there's very few companies that do it well, and so Click Meeting's the one that we found to be the most efficient right now. But we're eventually looking to kind of build out our own software and platform, that kind of thing. Does anyone else have questions? Yes.
Yeah, can you talk more about the brain trust thing?
Yes, definitely. So the Brain Trust came about, I actually partnered with Steve Zika here and Doan Winkle from ISU. And Doan is part of USASB, which is a community of professors who teach entrepreneurship around the world. And they host a yearly conference in Florida where 200 professors come together to basically discuss how can we teach kids to be entrepreneurs, what can we take back to our classrooms, that kind of thing. But there was a huge problem in that there were professors around the world who didn't have money to attend a conference for 3 days, or didn't have the budgets or the time or whatever, and so they didn't have access to the kind of resources and experience that conference offered, because there just aren't a lot of online resources for specifically professors who teach entrepreneurship. So we decided to partner up and organize a conference for the entrepreneurship community as a whole. So we have a number of investors. We have Troy Hennekoff. We have the founder of who's the managing director of Techstars in Chicago. We have the founder of 1871 in Chicago speaking. We have a number of professors who teach entrepreneurship at very well-respected universities, and then also startup founders. And we're going to it's a 3-day conference. It's hosted all online, so you can log in and watch whatever sessions you want, and then you get the recorded sessions. So that's like an ongoing resource that you can tap into. And I was trying to think, it was 3 days. And then we'll be covering both how do you do a startup, and then also how do you mentor entrepreneurs who are starting companies, and what resources and support do you need to provide to them to make it really successful? Yes.
I'm in the business of doing workshops, but right now it's just in person, but the goal is to get to something more like what you're describing, although there are other alternatives too.
Right.
As far as how to accomplish the delivery of video instruction. But could you clarify, for me as a potential customer perhaps, what would be the difference between going through you versus just having a web developer use Click Meeting and not? Could you clarify what
Yeah.
the benefits would be with
Yeah.
kind of
So yeah,
collaborating
definitely.
with your company?
So before I launched Modern Thrive, I spent a couple of years studying all of the ways that people were launching online courses and what software they were using and what worked and what didn't work, and really got a good sense of like how to do it well. And what I learned is most people who develop online workshops can spend up to 2 full work weeks creating content for a course, and then they throw it up online and they hope it sells. And maybe they'll make tons of money and maybe they won't, but it's very high risk business. And that is the way that we structure our workshops, is to take the instructor as little time and give the participants as much value as possible. And so because of the live format and just the way that we structure it, it makes it really easy on our instructors. Like, you don't have to create any content before the workshop launches. You show up to teach, and then like that's an ongoing product that you can sell to your audience. And then the way that we work with instructors is we do a revenue share. So every instructor gets 50% of all of their workshop sales, and then we take 50%. But we handle all of the customer service, all of the admin, all of the technology, and we also help them figure out new ways to market their workshops. So we have partnerships with a number of blogs, online media outlets, and also like regional networking groups, so that when we launch a new workshop, we distribute it to that network, and then they distribute it to their network. So our instructors get a lot of really hands-on support and figuring out like how can we make you the most money from your workshop, which, you know, I say people who have their own workshops and are launching them online already, like they should probably keep doing that. Somebody who's never done it, it's great to do a workshop on Modern Thrive and get a sense of how it works, and then you can go on and create, you know, any programs you want, because our focus is really on getting that workshop where you kind of share your story and your career path and teaching that. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes?
I think that you said there was interaction between the instructor and the participants, and if that is the case, how does that work?
Yeah. So in the chat room, you can ask questions, like submit questions. You just put them in all caps, and then the last 15 minutes of each session is used for Q&A. But our instructors are always like, they'll stay later if there's more questions. Like they want everyone to walk away with that value. And then we also take questions in the Facebook group. We take questions via email, and that's why I mentioned keeping the courses small, because a lot of the websites like edX or Coursera or Udacity, they have courses where hundreds of thousands of students are logged in, and you will never talk to that instructor. Like, there's no way your question's getting answered. So that was really important to us from the start, is that the people who were coming felt like, you know, they learned directly from that instructor, and they got their questions answered, and they walked away really feeling like they understood the topic that we were teaching.
So,
sorry.
are you still blogging, or have you abandoned that?
I always say, like, I am a lifetime blogger. My blog's always there, but I write like once a year probably. So if my site's cassieborn.com, and I update it sometimes with career and business type advice. But then we also have a blog on Maker Mentors, which is focused on advice for like creative business artist careers. So managing both of those makes it like impossible.
Workshop for the entrepreneur?
Oh, so the Brain Trust is happening October 22nd through the 24th, and that is actually a 3-day conference. And so the pricing for that's a little bit higher. So it's $397 for the whole conference. But if any of you want to attend and you email me, I can give you a discount code so you can get access for $197 just for the Startup Peoria crowd. But it'll be happening over those 3 days.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Cassie.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions? All right. Well,
Oh,
thank you.
I
Oh,
do.
you do?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, totally.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Good stories. What, if anything, can the people in this room here right now do to help you accomplish your next goal or your bigger goals?
Yeah. So I would say the best thing you can do is sign up for a workshop. But also, one thing that we offer on Modern Thrive is free career advice. So anyone can submit a career question, and then I personally answer them with my own advice. And I know that everyone in this room knows at least 3 people who are completely stuck in their career or can't find a job or don't know what they're doing with their lives. And so if you tell them, like, go to Modern Thrive and just like submit their question, that's a great way for me to get a sense of like where people are struggling, what they need, and what kind of workshops we can develop. So, you know, I would appreciate your directing anyone you can to me.
Thank you.
Right, no problem. Thank you very much. And don't forget that these postcards have the discount code for the free workshop.
Yeah.
Thank you.